For introduction, the Kota Damansara MRT function is to increase transportation accessibility and connectivity in the area, which is from Sungai Buloh to the Kuala Lumpur and ends in Kajang. Each train carrying a total of 1,200 people and have 31 stations. Daily traffic is 400,000 people with 3.5-minute interval each train. This Kota Damansara MRT has an incident. It was happened because a viaduct that span of weighted 350 ton and 38 meter long topples from its piers and fell into the ground. It caused 3 Bangladesh die in this tragedy.
Next, engineering failures. The factors that this incident happened is first, lack of shims. Shims is to hold heavy objects in position by filling gaps between wear-prone elements until they can be firmly secured. Second, use of temporary jacks. Temporary jacks required to use shims, and the accident can be prevented if permanent bearing is used. The third factor is parapet installed on one side. Viaduct that span relies solely on temporary jacks for support, and the position of temporary jacks is too close together. Fourth, no haul point. It is necessary checkpoint that must be reached before any further work can be done without the approval by engineer, consultant and municipality inspectors. So, there is no engineer on site. The last one, no RFI or known as request of information. This means that no method statement for parapet installation on a single track deck.
For the next part, why this situation may happen, it is clearly that ethical issue in this construction happened. The lack of discipline in the construction industry can give rise to several significant ethics issues. It is affect various aspects of construction projects and undermines the overall integrity and professionalism of industry. One of the main ethical issues resulting from a lack of discipline is poor workmanship. Without discipline, construction professionalism may cut corners, neglect the necessary steps, or fail to follow established industry best practice. Company can address this ethical issue of lack of discipline by achieved through strong leaderships, training programs, and strict adherence to established process and procedures. Next is the lack of work guidelines. It is clearly can impact the overall integrity and efficiency of construction project. In the absence of the work guidelines, there may be inconsistencies in the quality of work performed. However, we can address this issue by taking proactive measures. Comprehensive and well-defined work guidelines should be provided and developed.
I will explain about how lack of professionalism may lead to this MRT mishap. From the case of failure, we can try to relate it with a lack of professionalism. For example, install the viaduct without permanent bearing with supporters is one of cause of failure. For this failure, we can relate it with a lack of professionalism in terms of complying proper construction practices and safety protocols. Another cause of failure is lack of scene support to maintain the viaduct that stable and secure. For this failure, we can relate it with a lack of professionalism in assuring the adoption of acceptable burden procedure.
Greeting to Doctor and my friends. Now I want to talk about the environmental impact from the Kota Damansara MRT failure. Firstly, is pollution, which is soil contamination, extent, contaminates and consequence for the soil quality and vegetation growth. The second pollution is water pollution, impact on the water sources like spills, leaks, surface water and groundwater contamination. The third pollution is air quality, which is release of the hazardous gases like dust particle and implication for air pollution. The second environmental impact is habitat destruction and human health risk, which is damage to natural environment, which is give the negative effect on the ecosystem to flora and fauna. Also, consequences for the biodiversity and habitat integrity. Also, and risk to human health from the hazardous substance for short-term and long-term effect. The third environmental impact is response and mitigation measure and long-term remediation, which is the immediate response and mitigation effect to evaluation of effectiveness and areas needing the paid attention. Another additional is long-term environmental remediation, which is soil and water cleanup, habitat restoration by timeline, cost and coordination for successful remediation. From the failure, we find out the two main findings That is significant impact on the environmental from the Kota Damansara MRT mishap, and also important of continuity monitoring and remediation for ecosystem restoration and human health protection. Thank you. The next part is regarding to the Kota Damansara MRT mishap. There are several related acts and regulations that are applicable to construction site and engineering project in Malaysia. First act is Construction Industry Development Board Act 1994, which is CIDB Act, which contained the establish the Construction Industry Development Board CIDB, registration and regulation of construction industry players, promotion and development of the construction industry. The important things is setting the standard and ensuring workers' safety and welfare. The second act is Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994, which is OSHA, can contain ensure safety, health and welfare of workers in all industry, duties of employers, contractor and employees, risk assessment, safety training and implementation of safety measures. The third act is Environmental Quality Act in 1974, EQA, which is governs environmental protection in Malaysia, air and water pollution control, waste management, also environmental impact assessment EIA for development projects, assessment also of impact and implementation of mitigation measures also applied in this act. The fourth act is Street Drainage and Building Act in 1974, which is control and regulation of building. Also, permit and approval for construction workers is under this act. The next one is Building Standard and Plans Approval, also under this act. The fifth act is Town and Country Planning Act 1976, which is land using planning and development control. By this act, development plans, orders and zoning regulation is provided by the fifth act. Then sustainable and organized development activities. The last act is Civil Law Act is 1956, is a content general principle of civil law, contractual obligations and liability for the damages, also applicable in the legal disputes, compensation claim and branch of the contract. That's all from me. Now I pass to my roommates.
For conclusion, many advantages can get with this MRT construction, but for engineering failure, it can be avoided if all organization has a good in communication and decision making. Safety is the main factor for every web project that needs to be emphasized. That's all from us. Thank you.